All right, welcome back to the old Straight-n-Strop. So I've recently had quite a few customers, pals, comrades, cohorts, all of and above, contact me on a specific issue. And what that issue is what do we do when we have a razor that is riding hard to one side? Now this one isn't too bad. I couldn't find one that was horrible, but so it's sitting hard to the back. All right. The way we will go about fixing that is peening certain sides of the pin. So first, I want to start with, when I say the top of the pin, I'm referring to this side of the pin. When I say the bottom of the pin, I'm referring to this side of the pin. And that goes for the tail pins too. All right. So top, bottom. So we have a razor that's leaning hard to the rear of the scales. So this is the face, this is the rear. Leaning hard to the rear. What we're going to do is we're going to peen. Now, if you're building the razor and you've already peened one side, I'm a rear peen fanatic. I seem to get a better peen on my first one that I do in my anvil. I don't know why, it always looks better. So I'm always pinning through the front. So that first peen is on here. So I'm working on the back. When I go to put that together and I cut off my excess, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to get enough that it grabs a hold of the collar and it won't come apart. So it's flopping around, it's loose. I can maneuver it as I go. What I'm going to do is do my very best to equal it up. So if I pre-peened this face and I flip it over, I put it together and I cut off the excess, I'm going to pre-peen this face to try to match up with this one right off the jump. All right. Once I get there, then I will slowly go back and forth on it. A few over here, a few on the rear. While I'm doing it, what I want to do is not just roll my razor a little. I also want to hit around each side. I'm trying to make that as even as possible because I need these to come together, coherently. They need to come together. So if I get to here, or if I'm just doing a repair or whatnot, and I've got a blade that's riding hard to the rear, what I'm going to do is peen the front pin, which is the direction I want the blade to travel. I'm going to peen it at the top of the pivot pin. So here she is. She doesn't sit on there. I put her there, but she's riding there. All right. I don't know if the camera is getting a real good look at that, but it is on the back. So if I peen the top of the front pin, I wish I could get there. She is sitting dead center. All right. If I want to take it even further, what I will do is, if I'm hitting the top of this pin to get the blade to come forward, I'm going to flip it over and hit the top of this pin, the tail pin. So I can actually, and when you're peening it, it's not just a straight down on that. Try to get an action, because what you're trying to do is get the scales to do this. All right, you're not moving the blade. You're adjusting the scales to do this. And as they do this, the blade's going to want to go that way. As they do this, the blade's going to want to go that way. So I can hit the top of the backside pin a few times. And now, well, she's about spot on, but she's already starting to head toward the front side. All right, and I'm going to do that because I'm going to tear this apart, but I've showed you how the blade started. It was leaning hard on the back. I'm going to put it hard on the front just by peening the top of the front pin and the top back pin. Now that blade is hitting the front scale. And I can bring it right back to center by hitting the top of the rear pin and hitting the top of the front pin. And I'm just moving those scales back to where they need to go. And now that blade is dead center again. So to recap this, if your blade is sitting hard to the back side of the razor, go to the top front pin and pin it on the top of the pin. You can also pin it on the top of the rear pin. And then it's vice versa. If your blade is leaning forwards, go to the rear face, smack the top of the pivot pin, go to the front, and smack the top of the lower pin. And that will allow you to adjust that blade back and forth. I hope this helps. That wasn't something that came along. I tried many ways, many failures, broken scales. I do want to say something about that right off the jump, is if you're pinning at a downward action like this, if you miss, you are really close to snapping off the tip of that. And I've got plenty of scales that have a broke tip because I was trying to adjust a blade. So that's why I say try to balance it out. You can move it with both of the pins. You don't have to do it just on the pivot. So do a little bit up here, but do some down here where it's a little more thick and stout, and it doesn't have an open area. It's got a wedge to support it. Hope everybody's having a good day. Cajun, I hope you're warming up and you're not snowed in. God bless, and see you next time.